Emma Sinclair adjusted her borrowed emerald dress one final time before stepping into the glittering ballroom of the Metropolitan Museum. The charity gala buzzed with New York's elite, their diamonds catching the light from crystal chandeliers. Overhead, she clutched her small purse tighter, reminding herself why she was here. The Aurora Foundation's annual fundraiser could provide the grant money her struggling dance studio desperately needed. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she stood, a woman who taught children to dance in a cramped studio above a pizza shop, surrounded by people who probably spent more on wine than she made in a month. But Emma had learned long ago that sometimes you had to step outside your comfort zone to save what mattered most. Her studio, Harmony Studios, served underprivileged kids who couldn't afford private lessons elsewhere, the landlord threatening to triple their rent. This gala represented her last hope. She'd been scanning the crowd for potential donors when she spotted him. James Morrison, her ex-boyfriend, stood near the champagne fountain wearing a smug smile and an expensive tuxedo. Beside him clung a blonde woman Emma didn't recognize, her hand possessively wrapped around his arm. Emma's stomach dropped. She had known James would be here given his family's social connections, but seeing him still stung. Their breakup 6 months ago had been messy, filled with accusations about her unrealistic dreams and his need for someone more suitable to his lifestyle. Before she could retreat, his eyes found hers. James whispered something to his companion, and they both began walking toward Emma, predatory smiles on their faces. "Emma Sinclair," James called out, his voice carrying across the marble floor. "What a surprise to see you here." Emma forced a smile. "Hello, James. You look well." "This is Victoria Ashford," he said, pulling the blonde woman forward. "My fiancée. Victoria, this is Emma. She runs a little dance studio in Brooklyn." The dismissive tone in his voice made Emma's cheeks burn. Victoria extended a perfectly manicured hand, her smile as cold as her diamond bracelet.
"How charming," Victoria said. "James told me about your teaching."
It must be so fulfilling to work with children. The condescension dripped from every word. Emma was about to respond when James leaned closer. "I have to say, I'm surprised you could afford a ticket to this event," he said quietly. "Unless you're here as someone's guest." Emma's heart pounded with humiliation and anger. She needed to escape, but they had positioned themselves between her and the nearest exit. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for any way out of this increasingly uncomfortable situation. It's when she saw him. A tall man, in an impeccably tailored black tuxedo, stood just a few feet away, his back to their group. Without thinking, Emma reached out and grabbed his hand. "There you are," she said loudly, hoping her voice sounded natural. "I've been looking everywhere for you." The stranger turned, and Emma's breath caught. He had the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers with sharp cheekbones, piercing blue eyes, and dark hair that looked like he'd run his fingers through it. But it was the way he looked at her with immediate understanding and something that might have been amusement that made her heart skip. "Sorry to keep you waiting," he said smoothly, as if they'd rehearsed this moment. His voice was deep, cultured, with just a hint of an accent she couldn't place. "Shall we dance?" Emma nodded gratefully, not trusting her voice. The stranger offered his arm and she took it, feeling the solid strength beneath his jacket sleeve. "Emma, wait," James called out, but she was already walking away. Her mysterious savior guiding her toward the dance floor. The orchestra was playing a waltz, and couples swayed elegantly across the polished floor. Emma's partner led her to the center, then turned to face her. Up close, he was even more striking, with laugh lines around his eyes and a mouth that seemed designed for both smiling and trouble. "Thank you," Emma whispered, as he placed one hand on her waist and took her other hand in his. "I owe you an explanation." "No need," he replied, leading her into the first steps of the waltz. "I could tell you needed rescuing." "By the way, Sebastian Knight, Emma Sinclair," she said, then realized she was probably supposed to recognize his name. The way other couples were glancing at them suggested he was someone important. Sebastian moved with the confidence of someone who'd been dancing since childhood, making her feel graceful, as if she were floating rather than walking as the waltz continued. Emma found herself relaxing into the rhythm. Sebastian was an excellent lead, anticipating her movements and adjusting his steps to match her style. "So," Sebastian said as he spun her gently, "what brings you to this particular lion's den?" Emma laughed despite herself. "Lion's den? That ain't accurate. I'm here hoping to secure funding for my dance studio. We work with underprivileged kids, and our lease is up for renewal. The landlord wants to triple the rent. And you thought you'd find a white knight at a charity gala? Something like that? Though I'm beginning to think I was naive. These people don't seem particularly interested in helping small community programs." Sebastian's expression grew. "Thoughtful, you might be surprised. Sometimes the right person just needs to hear the right story." The music wound down, but Sebastian showed no signs of releasing her. Instead, he guided her toward the edge of the dance floor where they could talk privately. "Tell me about your studio," he said. Emma hesitated, then found herself opening up. "It's called Harmony Studios. We offer classes in ballet, jazz, hip-hop, and contemporary dance. Most of our students are kids who can't afford private lessons elsewhere. We charge what families can pay, which means we're always operating on a shoestring budget." "And you love it," Sebastian said. It wasn't a question. More than anything, these kids have so much talent and passion, they just need someone to believe in them. Before Emma could say more, James appeared beside them, his face tight with irritation. "Emma," he said, "I see you found yourself a dance partner." Sebastian turned slowly, and Emma noticed how his posture changed, becoming more formal and intimidating. "James Morrison," James said, extending his hand. "Oh, I don't believe we've met." "Sebastian Knight," Sebastian replied, shaking James's hand briefly. Emma caught the slight wince that crossed James's face. "Knight," James repeated, and Emma saw recognition dawn in his eyes. "Of Knight Technologies, among other things," Sebastian said smoothly. Emma looked between the two men, sensing undercurrents. She didn't understand. Knight Technologies was one of the biggest tech companies in the world, which meant Sebastian was not just wealthy, but incredibly powerful. "Emma and I were just catching up," James said, his earlier confidence wavering. "We have quite a history together," had Emma corrected firmly. "We had a history." James's smile faltered, of course, past tense. He turned to Sebastian.
"I
hope you know what you're getting into. Emma has very idealistic views about money and success." Sebastian's expression didn't change, but Emma felt his hand tighten slightly on her waist. "I find idealism refreshing," Sebastian said. "It's rare." "In our circles, indeed," James replied stiffly. "Well, I should get back to Victoria." He looked at Emma one last time. "Enjoy your evening, Emma." As James walked away, Emma felt her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "I'm sorry about that," she said to Sebastian. "He has this way of making everything awkward." "Don't apologize," Sebastian said. "Any man who would let you go is clearly an idiot." The compliment sent warmth spreading through Emma's chest. Sebastian reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. "Call me tomorrow," he said. "I'd like to visit your studio." Knight Technologies has a foundation that supports exactly the kind of work you're doing. Emma stared at the card, hardly believing what she was hearing. "You mean it?" "I never say things I don't mean." Sebastian's blue eyes were serious. "Your passion tonight, the way you talked about those kids, it reminds me of someone very important to me. My grandmother spent 30 years teaching piano to children whose families couldn't afford music lessons. She sounds like an amazing woman. She was, and she would have liked you." Sebastian smiled. "Besides, I have a feeling you and I are going to make an excellent team, Miss Sinclair." 3 months later, Emma stood in her newly expanded studio, watching her students prepare for their first major recital. Thanks to the Knight Foundation's generous grant, they'd not only secured their lease, but had also been able to hire 2 additional instructors and offer scholarships to even more children. Sebastian appeared in the doorway, still wearing his business suit from whatever board meeting he'd just left. He'd been a constant presence over the past months, not just as a donor, but as a friend. And maybe, Emma thought, as her heart skipped at the sight of him, something more. "Ready for the big night?" he asked, crossing the room to stand beside her. "Thanks to you," Emma said. I still can't believe how much has changed. You did this, Sebastian said softly. All I did was write a check. Hush. You're the one who makes the magic happen. As the first notes of music began and her students took their positions on stage, Emma felt Sebastian's hand slip into hers. She looked up at him, seeing not the billionaire CEO, but the man who had rescued her that night at the gala, who had believed in her dreams when no one else would. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, he replied, squeezing her hand. For reminding me what really matters. The curtain rose, and Emma's students began to dance, their faces glowing with joy and pride. In the audience, parents wiped away tears of happiness. Watching their children shine on a stage they never thought they'd see, Emma had gone to that gala hoping to save her studio. Instead, she'd found something far more precious, a partner, who understood that the most important work was often the least appreciated, and that sometimes the most unexpected encounters could change everything. Asterisk. The end deal like this video if the story touched your heart? Subscribe for more emotional tales, and share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers.